Stop me if you've heard this one before.
He's been dominant. He knows who he is.
Who are we kidding? It was the Dodgers all along.
Yeah, it had to be the Dodgers all along.
How are you feeling about this new top three for the Dodgers rotation?
I'm feeling pretty good.
I know. This is like your rich friend complaining that they can't use their pool this year because they're converting it from a chlorine to a saltwater pool. Yet this is the main issue that has been holding the Dodgers back from becoming a dynasty. Let's take a look at all their postseason exits this decade to really show you what I'm talking about here. Coming off a World Series victory in 2020, the team was in a good place to repeat heading into the 2021 postseason. However, they only had 3 healthy starting pitchers for the run. While I do believe one of the most underrated fuck-ups of Dave Roberts' career was how he managed Urias, Buehler, and Scherzer during this run, the fact that we only had 3 viable starters is an indictment of Andrew Friedman and his team building. In 2022, the Dodgers were in a good spot with their rotation going into the postseason. But questionable deployment and underperformance were what flaws that sank the team. 2023, however, was the death knell for the Dodgers' old pitching philosophy. Going into the year, the opening day rotation consisted of Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, Noah Syndergaard, Dustin May, and Michael Grove. Noah Syndergaard sucked. Julio Urias did not learn and continued to be a piece of shit. Dustin May would undergo Tommy John surgery. Michael Grove would underperform after winning the 5th rotation spot coming out of spring training. Thankfully, Bobby Miller would step up for the team, providing much needed innings. However, Andrew Friedman was forced into making moves at the trade deadline, especially since Tony Gonsolin had to undergo Tommy John surgery shortly after returning to the rotation. Unfortunately, the only move that would be made was a disastrous trade for Lance Lynn. In the playoffs, this rotation would implode. Clayton Kershaw would only get 1 out in Game 1 of the division series while giving up 4 runs and 6 hits. Game 2, Bobby Miller would be slightly better, but still not good as he only got 5 outs in his start, giving up 3 runs and 4 hits while having erratic command the whole time. But have no fear. The star of the trade deadline himself, Lance Lynn, would step up and provide the Dodgers the start they desperately needed to save their season. It's okay. It's just 1 home run. We're okay. As long as he... Damn it. Oh, it's okay. It's just 2-run deficit. Ketel Marte is one of the best players in the league. Anyways, fuck. It's fine. Christian Walker is a Dodger killer. Anyways, Lynn just needs to... Oh, god damn it. Oh, thank god it's foul. Motherfucker. I am so glad that Andrew Friedman loves bullpens because it has helped us so much. Can we get a fucking Carlos Rodon in this rotation for once in our freaking lives? I'm sorry about that. Just a little frustrated. Seeing the moves that were made in the 2020 season, it was clear that Andrew Friedman had to change his pitching philosophy in the offseason. The first big pitching move was trading Ryan Pepiot and Johnny DeLuca to Tampa Bay for Tyler Glasnow and immediately signing him to a 5-year deal. After that, Japanese pitching ace Yoshinobu Yamamoto was signed to a 12-year deal, and then adding James Paxton on a 1-year deal to provide much-needed depth and innings to the team and see if he would be a reclamation project. Oh yeah, and apparently our new DH can pitch as well. And immediately the opening day rotation looked good. Tyler Glasnow and Yoshinobu Yamamoto formed a deadly 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation. Bobby Miller and Gavin Stone were 2 exciting young arms, and James Paxton looked to benefit from the famous Dodgers pitching lab. However, it would all unravel rather quickly. James Paxton stunk up the joint and quickly become designated for assignment, eventually making his way back to Boston. Bobby Miller would regress from a promising rookie campaign and ended up being sent back down to Oklahoma City. However, the rest of the rotation would suffer various devastating injuries. Tyler Glasnow would suffer an elbow sprain in August that would take him out for the rest of the season. Yamamoto would suffer a shoulder injury that would take him out for 3 months, right when the Dodgers needed him the most. Then Gavin Stone would be taken out for the year with shoulder inflammation, and River Ryan would come up, look dominant in his 4 starts before having to undergo Tommy John surgery as well. Going into the playoffs, the Dodgers rotation was decimated. Jack Flaherty and Yoshinobu Yamamoto were the only 2 healthy starters that can be relied upon for quality starts. Walker Buehler had a poor 2024 season, and Landon Knack was our best remaining starter from the options available. Needless to say, things were looking bad for the Dodgers. There's no way they could deliver again, right? By some divine miracle, the Dodgers were able to ride 3 starting pitchers and the bullpen dogs to a World Series championship. But this clearly was not a sustainable way to win a World Series. The Dodgers had to rely on Walker Buehler walk in his balls of steel over to the bullpen in order to find an arm to close out the World Series in Game 5. Andrew Friedman knew this too and began a mad shopping spree to try and solve some of the rotation problems once and for all. The Dodgers went out and signed Blake Snell to a 5-year deal while also adding Roki Sasaki and a soon-to-be healthy Clayton Kershaw to the rotation. On top of that, Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin were returning from their Tommy John surgeries from 2 years ago. Oh, and our DH would also start pitching again too. There was a very likely scenario where the 2025 rotation could look like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, Roki Sasaki, and Clayton Kershaw, with Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May being ready to go in case of injury. Fast forward to the middle of June, and the rotation is Yoshi, 1 inning of Ohtani as he builds up, Kershaw, Dustin May, and a bullpen game. How do we always end up in this position? Introduced in 2023, Fangraphs Stuff Plus built to quantify the raw attributes of each pitch and compare them to others. Stuff Plus would quickly become the favorite of the analytically inclined fans. The Dodgers, of course, being an analytics-driven organization, quickly gravitated towards pitchers with amazing Stuff Plus. This quickly became the driving force of the Dodgers pitching philosophy, particularly that of the starting pitchers. In 2023, Shohei Ohtani and Tyler Glasnow would both finish in the top 10 of the Stuff Plus leaderboards before being acquired by the Dodgers. Bobby Miller also had top 10 Stuff Plus that year, with Clayton Kershaw not too far behind him. Blake Snell ranked 25th in Stuff Plus the year before the Dodgers acquired him as well. On top of that, while no stuff numbers exist for the MPB, it's common knowledge that Roki Sasaki had some of the best stuff of anyone on the planet when he signed for the Dodgers. Now, all of this is great in theory, but think of Stuff Plus as like money in a pre-Reagan United States. The higher the number, the greater the tax you have to pay. In case pitching, the tax you have to pay is arm injuries. We see this in notorious glass cannon pitchers like Jacob deGrom and Shane McClanahan. The increase in velocity, spin, and movement puts increased stress on the arm. This is seen by the 9 Tommy John surgeries Dodgers pitchers have undergone since 2023, the 7th most of any team during that span. On top of that, shoulder issues have been a big problem for the Dodgers, as well as shoulder issues have plagued Yamamoto, Glasnow, Sasaki, Stone, Kershaw, Snell, and Michael Grove. Generally, the harder you throw, the more shoulder injuries you will sustain. One thing that puts this in terrifying perspective is what's known as rotational angular velocity, which in layman's terms is how fast your arm can rotate per second. When throwing a pitch at 90 miles per hour, the arm can rotate over 20 times per second. The way Dr. Win Chang of the shoulder sphere, whose research I'm using in this section, puts it in perspective, your shoulder reaches a velocity of angular rotation akin to that of a front-loading washing machine. Unfortunately, however, you have to reach velocities of at least 95 miles per hour to be a legitimate shot of going pro. This also doesn't take into account breaking stuff puts more stress on both the elbow and the shoulder, or how being overworked as a kid can have adverse effects on your arm going forward. But surely other teams invested in Stuff Plus have similar issues to the Dodgers, right? Now, you think I put that title card in as a joke, but unfortunately, this is the reality of the situation. The teams that have led in Stuff Plus since its introduction is a tie between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Philadelphia Phillies, with a team Stuff Plus of 106. Over the same period of time, the Rays have had 4 pitchers undergo Tommy John surgery, and the Phillies have had 5. Both are in the bottom 10 of the league when it comes to this metric. Both of these teams also rank in the top 10 of the league of ERA-, which is Fangraphs' version of ERA+. Over the same time period, the Rays have had 4 pitchers undergo Tommy John surgery, and the Phillies have had 5, both of which are in the bottom 10 of the league. Both teams also rank in the top 10 of the league of ERA-, Fangraphs' version of ERA+, over the same time period. This holds true for most teams. The only exception is the Red Sox and the Yankees, who have had more Tommy John surgeries than the Dodgers, but both teams have higher stuff plus and a lower ERA minus than the Dodgers as well. The main difference between the Dodgers and the teams in front of them in the stuff plus leaderboards is who is getting Tommy John surgery. The majority of the players who get Tommy John surgery for the Dodgers are part of the 26-man active roster. This team actually leads the majors in this category. And I know these injuries are complex and each case differs from another, but the organization itself is not blameless in this either. One of the main hallmarks of Dodger pitching development is their tendency to ask players to learn to throw a sweeper. This approach has yielded great results, most notably Evan Phillips, who improved his sweeper greatly after joining the Dodgers. On top of that, he started throwing his sweeper more after coming to the Dodgers. The results were incredible. It led to over 195 innings for Phillips in his time with the Dodgers with a 2.22 ERA, good for a 187 ERA plus, a whip of 0.94, 221 strikeouts, 2.4 walks per nine, 0.6 home runs per nine, and a 2.76 FIP. However, this approach began to take its toll on Phillips as injuries began to pile up at the end of the 2024 season. These injuries bled into the start of the 2025 season, ultimately culminating in his eventual Tommy John surgery. One of the biggest causes of Tommy John surgery is high usage of high-velocity fastballs. On top of that, poor mechanics can lead to not only Tommy John surgery, but shoulder surgeries as well. A prime example of this is Tyler Glasnow, who has been injury-plagued throughout his entire career. Looking at how his windup and pitch delivery is the main culprit of this, he discovered that his plant led to what is described as a violent landing that caused his arm to be dragged behind him while he did have an injury this year. Hopefully the new landing he built can help his arm stay healthy, but the results are to be determined. Yoshinobu Yamamoto actually experienced elbow pain early on in his career when he was learning to throw, but once he learned to throw with his entire body, more particularly his lower half, then you could really see that he has been fantastic at staying healthy. And a big thing for the Dodgers too is Yamamoto has been there more often, he has been more consistent, and he has really been more dependable than Glasnow. The results are still early, but it turns out throwing with your whole body is better than throwing with just your arm. These past few years have made it clear that something needs to change when it comes to the Dodgers pitching development. High velocity fastballs are essential in today's game, but a change the Dodgers can make is prioritizing pitchers whose fastballs have both high spin rates and or high IVB. After that, I would make curveballs and changeups the primary secondary pitch that this organization either teaches or prioritizes in scouting. On top of that, pitchers need to have repeatable, consistent mechanics where they use their whole body in their throwing motion. Don't get me wrong, teams are consistently looking for these things, but it should be a philosophy that the Dodgers teach to new pitchers in the organization.